talk about issues, campaigns, and matters of interest to libertarians. The website, mailing list, we're still going to be active, and we're trying to transition into a political action committee eventually. And we have people who come in here, strays, or independent stray cats for liberty, who represent different parts of the movement, parts of the ideology. And we've had a wonderful long-time associate here, Larry Sharpe, who is single-handedly the person who put the Libertarian Party of New York on a different level 4 years ago when he, through amazing fundraising and organizational efforts, got the party what we thought was permanent ballot status. Then there was a hiccup. We had a very optimistic former governor who just found a way to just gain the election rules to then move the goalpost further up and further away from us. There might be some movement in the state legislature to change those barriers and then bring it back down to the pre-2020 level so that we can get on the ballot much faster than we may be able to do this year. But nevertheless, Larry has decided to run again. I say thank you for doing so when my understanding from you was one and done and all that. But duty calls, we need our hero. and so I listed his allocates on our site. But maybe you want to go through it yourself. I'll give you the opportunity to give your own introduction to all the things you've accomplished. I see two new individuals. So your name was Roman, okay, and your name is
Mark.
Mark. Oh, Mark, I don't mind that. Okay.
Yes.
Of the Libertarian Party of Queens, as I just formed there. So, without further ado, gubernatorial candidate from here, our next governor. What did I say gubernatorial candidate? Our next governor, Larry Sharpe.
Thank you, guys. So I'll try to bring up a couple of things. One, thank you for the idea of single-handedly, but it wasn't single-handedly. When you run for governor like this and try to make something happen, you become the center of the purpose. I think that's true, but you can't do it by yourself, right? You have to do it with others. And I want to give a shout out to this specific organization. I don't know if you remember this. I don't think you were at the meeting. This group used to meet at the Bohemian Beer Garden.
Right.
That was my first foray into libertarianism. Will Schmidt spoke at that event. This was back in 2013, maybe 2012, in that area, something like that. For those who know how I got into the libertarian world, I didn't get through here via politics. I actually got to libertarian ideology through Robert Ringer. Robert Ringer, for those of you who don't know, is an author who writes about business things. Robert Ringer is an objectivist. I am not an objectivist, but he is an objectivist. And he was the first person who kind of got me to thinking about volunteerism, choosing to do things, government isn't the best answer for everything. He kind of got me into that mindset from business training. Then I started thinking about it, started to make some sense. And then in 2012, I heard Gary Johnson speak. And Gary Johnson was an entrepreneur the same way I'm an entrepreneur. I could actually hear Gary Johnson. It was someone that connected with me. And then I said, that's it, I think this may be the party for me. I had never joined the party before. I was never a member of any party. So then I went to the Queens Libertarian Party, and I heard Will Schmidt speak, who is a libertarian, obviously, from Hicksville at the time. I think he may still be there, but he was in Putnam County back then. I think he still is. And so I saw him there, and I thought, you know what, I'm in. So this organization is what got me in. So there we go. So yeah, so from that, I thought to myself, let me see if I can make some things happen. I just became a party member. I started paying dues. I wrote a check for the building that they built in, or they bought in Virginia, that National Party. I raised money for a bunch of candidates. I just became part of the party. And then you remember, I'm sure, in 2014, when Mike ran for governor. When he ran for governor, I was supporting him. I wrote him checks. I literally drove him. I got in the car. I drove him from Long Island to Buffalo. I drove him the whole way through because he was in the debate stage. Remember McDermott was in the debate stage? Some of you may remember that. Mike McDermott 2014 was in the debate stage. I'm the one who drove him there and tried to prep him on the way up there until we were driving. We had debate prep the whole way through. So I was supporting the party, supporting candidates. 2016 comes. In 2016, I said, you know what? I think I want to be involved. So I want to become Gary Johnson's vice president. That's what I thought. So I went down to Orlando to make that happen, and I lost by 31 votes. Not that I'm counting, or I'm not counting. Stop, I'm not counting. Okay, no one's counting, stop counting. 31 votes, not that I care. I don't care, Roman, okay? 31 votes. Anyway, so that's the point. So I lost by 31 votes, and it became a Johnson Rail ticket instead of a Johnson Sharpe ticket. So of course I'm bothered by that, it didn't matter. That same night, I went out and I helped them to raise money. I raised $130,000 for that campaign in one night, because we gotta raise money. So we raised, that campaign raised about $11 million. The highest we'd ever raised as libertarians. But it came to money raising. It was amazing for raising money.
No, that's not me.
Anyone else need anything?
After that, I decided, you know what? We have to make something happen. And so now in 2018, I decided, actually up to before with you all, 2017, I was thinking about leaving. I was thinking about leaving the state. I was like, you know what? The state's just overwhelming. I'm going to leave. So I actually went down to North Carolina, looking around, thinking that maybe I could go to the Charlotte area. Because what I do for a living, I'm a business consultant for a living. So I need a big city to be where I am. So I thought, you know what? I'll go to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll move there. How are you doing?
Hi.
So as I went down there, I realized, oh my God, I could sell my shoebox of a house in Queens, buy a mansion in North Carolina, cheaper, live better, but instead of moving, I got angry. I said, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna change things. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna run for governor, I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna fix the state. That did not go as planned. That did not go as planned. But that was the plan. Just didn't, what's that saying? Man plans, God laughs. Well, God was laughing. So that did not go well. So, but anyway, we did well. I ran a serious campaign to the best of my ability. We raised a lot of money. We got more votes than we'd ever gotten in the past. And we were able to get ballot access. So yes. How are you, sir?
Why is Hokum such a crook?
I will cover Hokum in a moment. I promise you I will. Let me finish this, and I will cover Hokum, I promise. Let me cover this.
No questions, no questions.
Yes, I will cover that, yes. So after that, I decide, all right, what am I gonna do now? As angry as I was from seeing what was going on in North Carolina and New York, when I ran for governor in New York, when I found out how corrupt this is, it made me angrier. And I still want to stay and fix it. Some of you may not know, you hear this all the time, people say, well, Larry, why don't you just get some press? Just get press. What's wrong with you? Why don't you get a newspaper to get press? Most people don't know is, it's pay to play. We went to the press. Why aren't you covering me? I'm literally the Libertarian candidate, right? This is in 2018. I'm the Libertarian candidate. I'm on the ballot. Why are you not covering me? They were very forward. You don't buy ads. Buy ads will cover you. Pay to play. So I had to raise money. I wasn't in polls. So I said, why am I not in the polls? I'm the official candidate of the Libertarian Party. I'm going to be on the ballots. After I got nominated, the whole deal. We're in the ballot. They said, oh, you don't buy polls. You got to buy the poll. You're going to be in the poll, buy the poll. Poll costs $40,000. One poll. So it's all pay to play. That bothered me tremendously. I then noticed that nobody who was running, who wasn't me, had any policy. There was no ideas. What it was is, if I'm a Democrat, Republicans are evil. If I'm a Republican, Democrats are evil. That's it. That's the policy. The policy is, I'll save you from the other. That's the policy. That was the policy. Next thing I noticed, when I was running in 2018, 5 people were running. I was the only one not getting a government check. This year, when I'll be running, I'll be the only one not getting a government check. Not that I'm against government checks, but the only people running are people with government checks. That's it? There's nobody else running except that? Yes, that's true. If I don't run, government check. The people who were running last time, the two front runners, were literally career politicians. Both of them had been in politics since they were 18 years old. Cuomo and Molinaro. They had both been in politics since they were 18 years old. That's career politicians. This time, both the people have been running New York State for at least 10 years. In politics for 20, both of them. So everyone is establishment and or wealthy. That's our system right now. But then we go worse. Now, do we get choice? We don't. The Democrats said no primary, we're picking our person. The Republicans said no primary, we're picking our person. We also know that who's going to win, either an outsider or a Democrat. So where's our voting matter? It doesn't matter. We don't have a working democracy. We don't have a functioning democracy. We have party elites who select the people, And then we sit back and get, okay, I guess that's what happens. Our democracy doesn't matter. Our vote doesn't actually matter here in New York State. In some states it does, depends on where you are. Here it does not. We have to change that. The only way we change that is with third party. And you might say, well, Larry, what about other third parties? Yeah, they're all nice. It's nice. But if you've noticed, they're getting behind me. The Libertarian Party is the only party that can actually create a coalition. And the reason why I can create a coalition is you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't use government to force your view on others. That's the issue. Does that make sense? And when you get that, people start getting behind me. That's why a guy like Andrew Yang, who has views that the Libertarian Party disagrees with, can get behind me. Because he knows that we can get a third party after me, not for him, that we have an actual ability to get a third party, and we can change the rules, and that we can still help people out voluntarily. He gets that. Unite wants to get behind me. Why? Same reason. Now these are not just, these are people who don't always agree with us philosophically, but they understand a couple things. Without a third party, we're finished. We're finished. The left versus right paradigm is ensuring that nothing gets done, nothing gets changed, nothing gets fixed. We have it right now in our world to where winning is not us having a better life. Winning is the other person losing. That's the win. So if I own the lib if I'm a Republican, or I bid the Trumpster if I'm a Democrat, that's a win now. Did my life get any better? Did anything get better? No, it didn't. We have to change that too. So I'm running to try to make all those things different. Change with new policies, new ideas, trying to get a third party to make this happen. I hope that makes sense for everybody. Thank you for hearing me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to take questions now. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions now, please.
My sister, probably from here today, just want to ask you about the system. One part of the system is the transit system.
Yep.
You said she's afraid of going on the subway.
Yep.
I think she's not sure if the state runs it or the city runs it, but she doesn't want to get killed.
Yep.
So,
I like that idea.
what's your attitude towards the situation?
Yeah, we have to fix the MTA, and it's not a simple system, but I can give you the answers on how to fix it. Piece number one, we want to start to take the actual infrastructure that we have in New York State, New York City, bridges and tunnels, and start leasing out naming rights to each of them. What does that mean? Instead of us doing what we do right now, which is we name our bridges and tunnels after our aristocracy, right? The Cuomo Bridge, the Moynihan Center, right? The Koch Bridge, blah blah blah, the RFK Bridge. We name it after our aristocracy, our royalty. Let's stop that. Yes?
At Lincoln Center.
Good point. That was not aristocracy. You're right. Jackie Robinson was nice. That's true. That was nice. But my point being, if we can start leasing out the naming rights to these bridges, for example, why is it not a Pepsi bridge, or a Google bridge, or an Amazon bridge? And people say you're going to privatize. I'm not saying privatize. I'm not. I'm saying the state still owns the facility, it still owns the bridge. It leases the naming rights, not in a state public-private group. No, a very specific one. The state owns it. There is a yearly fee from a company that has a naming rights on that bridge. They will easily give us $50 to $100 million for one bridge. You might say, they give us that much money? Without question. Here's the reason why. They give us $20 million just for a stadium that's used on the weekends. I'm giving you a bridge that's in a 16 million person metro area, that is crossed by millions of people every single day, that is mentioned hundreds of times every single day on the radio when it comes to traffic reports, and that is in all of the media, in every Hulu, every Netflix special. They're showing the sky of New York City. You've got product placement in all these new videos and all these new movies. And they already talked about it. They're going to 10-year lease or more. We front load the contract in case they blow the contract, so we get our money up front, and they take care of maintenance. When that happens, two things happen. We fund money for the MTA to make it cheaper for everybody. But second piece, no tolls. Tolls go away. So now the average person can cross a bridge without paying a toll, truckers can cross a bridge without paying a toll, and we have more money that goes directly into the MTA. But that's not enough, that's just one piece. Second piece, right now the MTA, at night, we're running only about half trains. Why isn't every other train now a freight train? Freight should be coming into Manhattan at night. And I say, Larry, that makes sense, but the tracks aren't ready for freight trains. You're right, they're not, which means the Amazons and Googles of the world, and FedEx of the world, UPS of the world, will have to rebuild all those tracks. And they'll do it, because they'll get access to having all that stuff going to the city, and we'll name the hubs after them, and they can build the hub so it works for their individual institutions. What does that mean? Less truckers going to the city, more freight going to the city, a brand new rebuilt MTA without one taxpayer dollar. So rebuilt MTA without taxpayer dollar, more stuff coming into the city, less truck and wear and tear on the city. Now we get a better train system. Boom. Now that takes care of cost and nicer. Crime. Most of the crime is because of the black market. Not all, but most because of the black market. The second piece of crime is because of either mental illness, addiction, and or homelessness. And the problem is that whole combo, they go to these places like buses and like subways, where they're gonna go. We're not gonna stop them from doing that. If we rouse them out of that, they'll go someplace else. What should we do? Very simple. We sponsor the last car of every train. The last car of every train is a help car. That's what it is. It's a help car. In there is at least one cop, if not more, security if they think it's appropriate, and the social workers and the medical personnel to help these people. It's a safe space for our people who are in trouble. What does that mean? Now the cop doesn't throw the homeless person off and get into a fight. The cop just shoves them into the back of the truck, to the back of the train. There's people to help you right there. Right? Head to the back of the train, and as long as we have Wi-Fi, which will have to have Wi-Fi. Why? Because when Amazon and FedEx rebuild the train system, there'll be Wi-Fi there. So now, Louis, who's in trouble, shows up at the back of the train. The people that just open the computer and go, oh, Louis, you were here before. Here's your problem. Let's get you some medication, some help. Months later, have to take a nap because it's cold outside. So we can help those people and have them there. That is how you make the train system safer and cheaper. That's the answer. Does that make sense at least? Good. Go ahead. How you doing? Yes?
You mentioned that Google and FedEx are reading this, right?
Yep. Okay.
You see what kind of stuff China is, you don't see it there. That's the simple one. But China building the heights is very all over the place. And they're losing a ton of money. You know, you talk about Evergrande having to ship a truck.
It doesn't mean it has to. What it means is we don't need high-speed rail in the MTA. It's not required. We're not going 50 miles away. High-speed rail is not required for the MTA. Yes, so freight trains are fine to come into New York City. There's no need for high-speed rail here. Now, if they want to switch to high-speed rail outside the city, that's up to them. I'm not concerned about that. They can go to New Jersey if they want to, upstate New York. That's fine, whatever's appropriate. But it's not required for our MTA issue. Yes. Yeah. This is an education issue, meaning there are a lot of people, parents, who want their kids to learn all of these things. I don't have a problem with that. And there are parents who don't want their kids to learn these things. I don't have a problem with that either. The problem is, your point, we should be forcing it. If you would like your kid to learn these things, awesome, good, no worries. You don't? Awesome, good, no worries. So the more we have freedom and choice in school, the better it is. So I don't have a problem with drag queens or whomever reading to kids. I don't, as long as you're not forcing me to do so. If you're a parent and you think it's a good idea, go ahead. If you want to teach your kid a certain thing, you're going to anyway, regardless of what some school does. And you should be able to, it's your kid. So even though I may or may not like it, who cares? As long as I have a choice, I know what's happening, and I agree with my kid, why do I care? Right? That's the big issue. The first thing, the Republican cannot win or make impact. It is impossible in this state. The maximum Republican get in this state election is about 30-35%. They can't get any more than that. The Republicans have not won a statewide election in this state in 20 years, and the state is getting bluer, not redder. So they are impossible, they will not win. They will get maybe 35%, that's it. This is the worst part. Let me finish. 20 years ago, correct, as I said, not 20 years. 20 years ago, and the state's getting bluer. So here's the issue. Let's assume he gets 35 or 40%. What will change in New York State? Nothing. He has no policies or any ideas to change anything. Nothing will change even if he loses. But here's the reverse. What happens if I run? You said third party. Here's how third party wins. You run a real campaign, as I do. You raise lots of money, as I do. You have a big team, as I have. and you hope for a mistake to be forward. That is how Jesse Ventura won in the 90s. You hope for a mistake. Either Kathy Hochul debates me, or Kathy Hochul makes a mistake. Those Democrats in this state, if they're unhappy with Kathy Hochul, they're not going to vote for Republican. They're going to do one of three things. They're going to hold their nose and vote for Hochul anyway. They're going to stay home, or they're going to vote for me. That's what they're going to do. The data is that I have about 25% of the people who I support me are registered Democrats. So that's how I get the Democratic vote. This state is a plurality state. It's not a majority state. What does that mean? If I get 30-35% of the vote, I can win this thing. He gets 35% of the vote, nothing changes. I get 35%, I win. But let's say I get 20%, 15%. I don't even win. If I get enough to beat the Republican, everyone has to pay attention. Changes have to happen because in this state, the top two people, top two parties run everything. That's the rules, which means that it's judged by the gubernatorial race. So if I come in second, officially in New York State, Democrats and Libertarians run everything. Which means, hold on a second, which means the Republicans are kicked out. They won't be kicked out. They'll just rewrite the rules. And as they rewrite the rules, they'll add us. There will be change even if I come in second. I come in third, even if I come in a tight third and become the spoiler. That means without question, now the press will pay attention to me. If the press pays attention to me, they hear me, there will be change. That is the reason why you should go for me and not the Republican. So her savviness is that if you notice she has any problem, what Hochul does is she creates a commission and then assigns money to it to give her friends a bunch of jobs. That's why you have, hold on one second, that's why you have the Buffalo Bills.
Why that?
I'm going to tell you why. If you look at the last couple of stadiums that were built, they were not publicly financed. Right? MetLife was not publicly financed. Buffalo Bills is. Why? Because she wants to be responsible for handing out those jobs, which she will be. That's what her savviness. Her savviness is patronage and cronyism. That is what she is very good at. So she gives out jobs, controls giving out jobs, so people support her. That's why she wants that $850 million of New York State money, so she can now hand out jobs to her friends. That's why she does that.
Who's better, Andy Cooper or Mario? Who is better? Andy or Mario?
Wow, it's like, do you want brain cancer or stomach cancer? I guess I'll take the stomach cancer, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, they're both bad. I don't know which one I want, right? My father actually passed stomach cancer. But I don't really know which one's better. I'm not sure which one's better.
Personally, I can have dinner with Mario on that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So if I had to pick, I think I'd go with Mario, but that's not a very good choice. But yes, I'd go with
My
Mario.
question was, I remember now, you mentioned how you have bipartisan support, you put together a coalition.
Yep.
Can you put more specifics about that?
Yes, absolutely. So the things that we all agree upon are three important pieces, which I call the program. BRO. The program. BRO. B is easier ballot access. All the people in the coalition agree we need easier ballot access. That this is insane, that there is no harm to having more people on the ballot. Allowing more people access to the ballot is the right answer. That's the ballot. R, ranked choice voting. I know a lot of people don't like ranked choice voting. I am 100% behind it. Here's the reason why. Because it allows people who are afraid to vote for a third party to vote for a third party.
How about Brian Benjamin?
Almost now, hold on. Hold on. So what that means is now when the person goes, I can't vote for you, Larry, because I'm afraid the other guy will win. Well, if you have ranked choice voting, you vote for me first, and the defensive vote second. So if you don't like Hochul, you vote for me first and Zeldin second. If I win, life is good. If I don't win, Zeldin gets the vote. So you still have a defensive vote. If you hate Zeldin, love Democrats, you vote me first, you vote Hochul next. If I win, awesome. If I don't, you stop yourself against the equal Republican. Either way, you've done it.
Brian Benjamin.
Hold on, we keep going. So that's B and that's R. The O is open primaries. A lot of people are against open primaries, but I'm for open primaries for two reasons. One, gerrymandering. Open primaries help you locally deal with gerrymandering issues. You actually can affect a gerrymandered district that's all across New York State. There are downsides of a primary, there are. The good part is it affects gerrymandering, and the second part is the other two parties want it and not prepared to fight for it. So I'm happy to have those three. It is the program. Those three things we all agree upon. That's the biggest piece. Does that make sense, John?
How would Brian Benjamin?
I want to finish this question first.
What specific parties or groups that are in this BRO coalition?
Yes, one is the Forward Party, which for those of you may or may not know is the party that Andrew Yang started, right? So he is all about this idea of trying to get third parties. He believes it's broken. He's right. He ran as a Democrat. He saw how he was pushed to the side. He saw how the establishment runs everything. So he's on board with this idea, and the party is on board. So the Forward Party is one. The United Party is on board. I'm not sure they're going to endorse until maybe next week, the week after, but they're on board with vote Libertarian, right? Because Libertarians. If we get that, we will have permanent ballot access. And that's the goal, is to get at least 70,000 registered Libertarians in the state. If that happens, we're golden. Does that make sense? The social media team has people who are literally 18 years old. Yes, 18. Literally, the first time coach. Yes. How old are you, Ron? He's 17, he's here. So yes, already doing it, my friend. Already doing it. Did you have a question or something?
No, I just came to listen.
You look right now at what Kathy Hochul is trying to fix. Here is her answer for every single thing. I'm very serious. More money. If you watch any of her speeches, she will say we have a problem. So we've now done something historic. Okay, great. Making changes? No, we've added more money. Literally what she says is we used to have $8 million, now it's $16 million. We used to have $12 million, now it's $24 million. All she does is add more money to it and say, see, you solved the problem. So what she's reinforcing is, if you make a mistake in government, your punishment is more money. That's your punishment. If you fail, you get more money. She reinforces this. But I would ask you, what is the actual plan to move forward, make something better, make a systemic change? There are none. The government was in the 1800s. Wyoming. Some studies don't know that. Wyoming had the first woman governor in the 1800s. Yeah, I forgot her name. But yes, the first woman governor was in Wyoming in the 1800s. So it is not a big deal.
I refer to the current governor as Governor Holcomb. Because they're talking about money and they're shuffling some money from the state budget or is it on the table to build a stadium
All the time.
And she's taking advantage of this year where the state and a lot of other states got a little COVID lump of money.
Yeah, Uncle Joe wrote a big check. I get it. Uncle Joe wrote a big check.
And she's trying to appropriate that extra money that we're temporarily getting into saying, look, see, look what I did.
Well, she actually also says she balanced the budget. And how somebody, you know what balancing the budget means in New York State? It means you can pay your credit card bills. I'm not joking. That's how I did. I balanced the budget. How'd you balance the budget? We had debt. We have the most debt of any state, by the way. The most debt of any state. More than California. We have more debt than California, by the way. So, one second. So what she says is, she says, well, you know what? I have to now get a loan to pay off this debt. Do I have enough money in the budget to service the loan? I do. Budget is balanced. That's how New York State works. So basically what I'm saying is, I'm in a huge debt. Can I have another credit card? Awesome, I got another credit card. Budget is now balanced. That's exactly how New York State does it. So a balanced budget doesn't mean that we're actually, spending less than we're bringing in. It means we're servicing our debt. That's what that means. So hold on a second. We have lost, in the past couple of years, we've lost 500,000 people, yet our budget has gone up by about $30 billion. Just to be clear, Florida has more people than we have. They have half our budget, more of a surplus, and no state income tax. We are doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong, right? And demographically, they are very similar to us demographically. Not the same, but similar.